here. Okay. Well, good afternoon. My name is Todd Christensen. I work as the SVP of Advancement and Member Experience here at CapEd Credit Union. We're glad that you have joined us here today. And we see that we have about 23, 24 more participants are joining us here. So let's just give it another minute or so for individuals to join us. As we're waiting for them to join us, you can take an opportunity in your screen. You can do your view. And one of the things that we'd encourage you to do is to select a side-by-side view, and then you'll see the speaker who is being on screen at the time of their presentation. The other thing that we want you to be aware of is you can click on chat and then have that window open and available. And then you can share thoughts and ideas or questions with us. And we hope that we'll have an opportunity to get to those questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, let me take the opportunity to introduce our first presenter of our one of 13 different webinar series, the CapEd Lunch Money. Again, we have 13 of these presentations on Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the month of October and November. And today we start our Lunch Money Financial Wellbeing webinar series with CapEd's Business Development Manager, Lisa Hamilton. Lisa's been with us for nearly 10 years, maybe about 10 years. And she also serves with many different groups and organizations in the education community and otherwise sharing financial literacy principles. So let me turn it over to you, Lisa, for your presentation. Take it away, Lisa.
Thank you, Todd. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And the topic that we're going to discuss today is a budgeting basics and a spending plan. So a little bit about budgeting. A budget is like a New Year's resolution. We all know it's designed to help us, and yet we have so much trouble sticking to it. Many people experience the same negative feelings when they hear the word budget or diet. So instead of budget, let's use spending plan. And those of you who have started a new diet, change the word diet to health plan. Make these concepts work for your lifestyle, and so that you're in control and they are not controlling you. Why don't we stick to spending and health plans? The internet has hundreds of free spending and health plans. Goals and plans can be scary because the fear of personal failure is frightening, and this may increase procrastination. Not knowing where your money is being spent should be the realistic fear. The key to success is to take the first step and just get started. Don't talk about it, be about it. Along with this, I challenge all of you to break out of your comfort zones and incorporate 3 concepts learned today during this Lunch Money webinar. You just took the first step by joining us today. Now we are going to watch an animated It's a Money Thing video. And at the end of the webinar, I'll provide the path to these videos and other free financial well-being resources provided by CapEd Credit Union. I apologize. For some reason, we're having some technical difficulties with this slide. Building a budget video. These are housed on CapEdCU.com under our educational center, under It's a Money Thing. They're animated short videos. But basically, within that budgeting video, it's talking about taking your base spending plan, which is your income, your net income. So oftentimes when we're working on a spending plan, we look at the gross pay. We can't do that. We need to factor out all of the taxes and deductions and go with our net income. That's everything that filters through the net, and that's what you're left with. And so if your net monthly income is $3,000, basically the 50-30-20 proportional budgeting plan states that 50% of your net income should go towards your needs. Your mortgage, your car loans, your expenses, your main expenses that you have every month. And then 30% of that income should go towards your wants. So on a $3,000 monthly net income, $900 could go towards wants, and then 20% is your savings. Now that's your emergency savings and other savings accounts where you are building and you have some goals and also paying off some high interest debt. Possibly that might be listed within that amount. So to get started on this 50-30-20 proportional budgeting, the first step that a lot of us need to do that we may be afraid of doing is really looking at what are my monthly expenses. I don't want to know. So get with your partner, or if you don't have someone who is sharing expenses with you, have someone help you go through that. If you have a student, a child that wants to look at that, help them track their monthly expenses or incorporate one of your kids to help you do that. That's okay. When you have more people working together, that will hold you accountable. So track your spending for at least 2 months using this method. You can use spreadsheets, you can use online banking apps, you can use templates, but just make sure that you're not paying any money for those. Then compare your monthly spending to your 50-30-20 totals. Don't worry if they don't match up at first. Try to get them in line, but it's going to take you a couple months. You may be way out of line. You may be at 50% on your needs. You may be at 40% on your wants. And you only have 10% going to savings. So we need to modify that a bit to get you in line and make sure that you can match your spending plan to your financial goals. For example, if paying off your financial debt is your top priority, you may want to shift to a 30-10-60. That'll get you there faster. So you may have to let go of some of those things that you truly think are needs and maybe sell that car and get a bus pass so that you can have some extra cash flow. The next item that we want to look at is your actual spending plan. Now, it's not a form, and I think that's the problem. If you think of it as a plan, it's got to be a part of your lifestyle. It's an exercise. Spending plans are tools that come in various makes and models, and they're going to basically help us identify what's truly important. In order for a spending plan to be successful, you need to understand where your money is going, not be at the end of the month and say, where did all my money go? Goals need to be specific, and through goals, we can establish detailed events that step by step lead us to creating our life in line with our financial vision. And experts say that we're 33% more likely to achieve goals if the goals are written, shared, and updated. So we need to write them down and make sure that someone is helping us stay accountable. We want to prioritize our goals by taking a little personal reflection time and writing a few things down. Your goals might not just be apparent at this time. I'm not going to say, I want to run a marathon next year. I need to truly think about where I want my health plan to be. So what is your life going to look like down the road, and how are you going to get there? And prioritizing your goals should not be confused with categorizing your expenses. You're asserting your beliefs and your values, and this is why prioritizing works. You need to be reminded that you're in charge and you have say in where your money goes. When we look at SMART goals, it's also very important. As I said, I may not state that I'm going to run a marathon or I'm going to be a millionaire. I need to state, if I'm going to be a millionaire, how I'm going to get there. Is it realistic? Is it achievable? Is it measurable? Is it time bound? So instead of saying, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I retire, I might say, I am going to, aside from the mortgage loan, my partner and I will pay off all outstanding debt to a zero balance by June 2024 by doubling the monthly payments to the debt and not contributing to our vacation savings. So you may need to break down some of your SMART goals into smaller short-term goals to get to the long-term goal. Remember, be specific, make sure it's measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And I would encourage those of you that are sharing your expenses with a partner, we need to have those conversations and make sure that that other person is in line with what our goals are. And that's why we need to share those goals, write them down, and make sure that we can get there together. There's different online budgets and apps that you can use. You need to find one that works for you. I like to incorporate a mix of a couple. I use CapEd's free personal financial manager money tracker, and this is attached to our online banking. And you basically go in, you can name your spending plan, which I like. You can select accounts to include, categorize expenses, input your monthly net income, and from there select create your budget. And from there, I am looking that at all times during the day, I can go in and see where I am. Also, I have alerts set up where if I have something clear on my account, I can receive an email notification about deposits that come in, withdrawals that go out of my account so that I'm in touch with what's happening, because sometimes we don't have time to go in and look every day. I also do paper and pencil, old school methods. Sometimes that works. Maybe you want to incorporate a couple, and maybe you and your partner use different budgeting methods. Just again, make sure that you're having that conversation and that you're staying on track with your SMART goals. We have another video, Pay Yourself First. Again, if we experience some technical difficulties, I will stop, but I would like to go ahead and try to play this video for you. So one moment while I begin that.
We thank everybody for their patience with the technical aspects of this. This is our first one, and wanting to make sure that we're presenting great information. So let's see, Lisa, if we can get that video to play. Well, it looks like we're having the same technical issues on that video. Again, those are available on our website at capedcu.com, and then you can click on the educational resources. But with sensitivity to our time on this, I'll turn it back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Todd. Again, everyone, I apologize for that. But again, this will drive you to capedcu.com where you can find these resources. We'll take a look at that again at the end. Basically, paying yourself first. Oftentimes when I teach different classes, I'll ask the students what they think that means. And most students will say, I worked hard, I got my paycheck, I'm going to pay myself first. That means I get to spend on everything that I wanted, not necessarily what I needed. And it's a great way to think about it when you're at that age. But now if you're building your budget and your spending plan, paying yourself is basically taking your savings seriously. You need to give your monthly savings contribution the same priority as your living expenses. So if I'm going to pay myself first, right when I receive my paycheck, I am going to place an amount of money that I've established by building my spending plan, and I'm going to treat that like a bill. I'm going to put that amount of money in my savings, and I'm going to leave that there. And one thing that works easy for me is a couple days after payday, I have an automatic transfer that comes from my checking account to my savings, and that stays in my savings account. It's out of sight, out of mind. I don't even realize that it's been taken. It's placed in there like I'm paying a bill, and I'm not going to get that money back. I need to leave that there. So you can set up a transfer if that helps you. If you're paid by direct deposit, ask your employer if they accept multiple deposit accounts. And if so, have a portion of your earnings deposited into your savings account each payday. Create separate accounts or chart for big savings goals. If you have all of your savings going into one account, you can keep a separate chart and know the percentage is what's for your emergency savings, what is for vacation, or what's for maybe that new car that you're saving for. Or you might have multiple savings accounts. Take advantage of any retirement savings plans offered through your employer, especially if they include an employer match. So paying yourself first, a part of that money is building for retirement. Get creative in finding bonus sources of income. Let's pay ourselves first. Let's take that spare change that's in a jar, get it deposited into a savings account. Cash back rewards, income tax refunds, get those into your savings account or allocate those funds just like you would with a paycheck with the 50, 30, 20. And also, Don't let late fees eat into your savings account. One thing about paying yourself first is not letting that money go away. So set up automatic bill payments for your reoccurring monthly expenses. Your emergency savings. Now, with the coronavirus pandemic, we're hearing quite a bit about the emergency savings account and lack thereof. So an account that is used, this is an account that's used to set aside funds to be used in an emergency, such as the loss of a job, illness, or a major expense. It's not a question of if they will happen, but when. The importance of this fund has been highlighted in the age of the coronavirus pandemic. Numerous families state that their biggest financial regret during the pandemic was not having enough emergency savings and that they've fallen into deeper debt. An interest-bearing savings account is the perfect place for your emergency fund. Emergency savings need to be accessible, but it's best that the funds are safe, insured, and out of sight. So the reason why it's good to put it into a savings account is you don't want to have access to that money. You don't want to go pull that out of the savings jar inside of your home and go out and spend it. You don't want to see it, but there again, you don't want it necessarily locked into a certificate of deposit where those funds may be locked for a year, 3 years, or 5 years. So when we think about starting our emergency savings, many people don't attempt to do this because they hear financial planners state that you need to start building your emergency savings and you should have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved. That could be a very daunting number. So why should I try? Well, even if you start just a little bit, you will see how you can gain that money and it'll be there for you in an emergency and you can continue to build. So I would encourage all of you to just start your fund by setting a $500 goal and then maybe to $1,000. Then really start thinking about what your 3 to 6 months of living expenses looks like. So that's a part of your homework. You need to calculate your monthly living expenses and see where you land. If your monthly expenses are $1,000, actually you should have about $6,000 in there if you're truly going to save 6 months worth. If you can get to 3 months, I applaud you. I think that's fantastic. So we have to get started on that. Now, another problem that we see is, well, I have a huge amount of debt. So why should I start saving money if I have a huge amount of debt? Where do I start? So generally speaking, taking precedence should be paying off your high interest debt over savings investments, except for your emergency savings. So what you probably should do is even a small emergency fund can help finances when you have an emergency savings. They find that families with $250 to $750 in savings are nearly 30% less likely to miss a housing payment compared to families with less than $250 in savings, according to a report from the Urban Institute. So when you think about this, if you have high interest debt, what you should do first is, of course, always make those loan payments on time. And then you should also be contributing to that emergency savings account. Build up that emergency savings account, pay those minimum payments, and then look at those high interest loans and make extra payments on those. List all of your regular expenses, even if they're periodic, and see what you can eliminate completely. Sometimes you can call subscription services, you can call telephone companies, cable, internet, and you can negotiate. Go through your expenses and make sure that you have the best deal and you're paying a fair price. Maybe you could reduce some of your expenses. That could help you save more and also pay off high interest debt. Look at a credit card balance transfer. This can allow you to consolidate all of your credit card debt onto one low rate credit card and save you money on finance charges. Please don't let the late fees eat into your savings account. Make sure your payments are set up on time. If you're afraid you're not going to be able to make that payment or you won't take the time to do that, set that up on an online banking platform and make sure that those are paid. We're going to discuss more debt payment strategies in the next webinar on Thursday. And your homework. Here's part of your homework. The key to success is to take the first step and get started. Don't talk about it, be about it. So have an action plan. Here's your homework. Incorporate one item from the presentation today. One simple item. I don't want to give you a bunch because I don't want you to not make that first step. So this could be researching a free budgeting app, setting up an automatic transfer from your checking to your savings, calculate your monthly expenses. I honestly think everyone should take the time to do that. Determine a starting dollar amount for your emergency savings. Open up a savings account. And the next line for your homework is join us again this Thursday at 12:15, and we'll go over some more items, including debt repayment strategies and also different scams that are out there. I don't want you to build that savings and then possibly lose that money. Many of the free resources that we were attempting to show you today can be found at capedcu.com. On the main page, you go to educational resources. It's a money thing. We have numerous videos there. We have handouts and presentations. I encourage educators who are out there, parents, anyone, go in and watch these videos, share them with your family and friends. It's wonderful spot on information. They're highly entertaining, and I know that you will enjoy them. So please go to them. Even if you're not a CapEd member, utilize that free resource. Join us this Thursday following your spending plan. I'll see you there this Thursday. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Christensen. Thank you.
Great, Lisa. Let's give her a big virtual hand for that amazing presentation and the incredible information that she has shared with us. We do have the chat window that's open. We do have a few minutes here. We appreciate a couple of the comments. Thanks, Gypsy, in regards to the comment around the videos. We'll work to get that figured out for the subsequent videos, or rather webinars that are coming up. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays from now through the Thursday prior to Thanksgiving, or simply stated in the months of October and November. So please do feel free to join us for those webinars. The next one that Lisa has coming up again is on this Thursday as a follow-up. I hope that you've done your homework and come prepared for that. One of the things as we conclude our webinar here today, we want to share information about CapEd's Get Give program. We've had this program for nearly 2 years. And in that 2-year period time frame, we've been able to provide over $178,000 to area schools. That also means that new members to CapEd Credit Union have also received $178,000. To do or participate in the Get Give program, we invite you to look at CapEd as your financial institution, open up a high yield checking account. You can see on screen a couple of the qualifications to receive that $100. And at account opening, you can choose the school district, school, and program that you would like to support across Southern Idaho. Again, we've had over $170,000 that has been provided to area schools, and we invite you to join with us in our support of the education community. And with that, I think we have a few minutes. If you have questions or comments that you'd like to include into the chat. Charlene, thank you for your comment. We appreciate that. We hope that you have found value in the information that we have shared. This is always the dangerous moment to see if there are any questions in the chat window and see if anybody has any comments or questions. You can send your questions directly to Lisa. Her email is noted here on the screen. It's lisa.hamilton@capedcu.com. You also can reach out to her over the phone and ask those questions. We understand and recognize that financial well-being and the questions around financial literacy can be very personal. And we'd invite you to reach out to not only Lisa, but other individuals here at CapEd on your journey to strengthen your financial well-being. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude today's webinar. Again, invite you to join us this Thursday with Lisa's part 2 of her series. And then do take a look at capedcu.com/lunchmoney and look at the other webinars that are available for you, for your family, for your friends, and for those that you're wanting to make sure that they're on a good journey to financial well-being. With that, have a great afternoon and a great week. Thank you.